We're going to look at our last section for this week, which is 12.8. As we just said, we're going to split it over 2 days. Okay, so we'll do first half of 12.8 today, second half tomorrow, and then Thursday will be a review. Okay, so what were the problems we did yesterday? They were about what? How would you summarize what we did? Okay, we used substitution, but what was the content of the problem? It was about ages. Yeah. Roberto's age, John's age, Sue's age, things like that.
Yes, Sue. Hey,
right?
guys, ready?
Today we're going to solve problems about coins. Okay, so there's a couple things we have to go over. Okay, one thing we have to know is how much each coin is worth. Okay, that's important. And then we also have to look at what letter we're going to use to represent coins. All right, so let's start with a quarter. Now, there's two ways you could do these kinds of problems. You could do things in dollars, or you could do things in cents. All right? We have to pick one way of doing it. Okay? If we mix it, it won't work. So what we're going to do is we're going to do everything in dollars. All right? So for this question, how much is a quarter worth? What would you tell me? What is a quarter worth in dollars? It's 25 cents, that's true. How much in dollars? Did someone say it?
Or how would you make that 25 cents a decimal? 0.25, right.
Okay. Like if something costs $4.25, you'd see a price tag for 0.25, right? That 0.25, that's your quarter. Okay. So a quarter is worth 0.25, and what do you think we're going to use for the letter for a quarter? What is it? Yeah, I would use Q. Okay, Q is a good letter because that way you'll remember Q is for quarter.
Because in the problem, guys, you'll see when we do our first example, it's going to say any combination of coins is worth, nickels and dimes is worth $1.25. When you're going to set up one equation based on the amount of money, right? Based on it. So you put like 0.25Q, right? Just like yesterday when it was year and a certain amount of years, you did like you did Sue plus 12. Or, so this is when we get into we're going to still have that single variable, right? One equation with the single variables. We'll have the other equation when we have to apply something to that variable. In this case, we're going to put with the variable how much it's worth in decimal form.
Okay, how about a dime? Point what? 0.10, yeah. And what letter do you want to use for that? Yeah, we'll use D for dime. How about a nickel? 0.05, yep. And for nickel, we'll use the letter N. Right, I don't know if we have any problems with pennies.
I don't think so, Stan.
Okay, but if you had a penny, what number do you think that would be? Point what? Yeah, a penny would be 0.01. Okay, so as Mr. Roy said, we're going to be able to set up two equations. Okay, and you might have a problem something like, I have a total of 3/4 and 6 dimes. The value of all the money I have is $3. Tell me how many of each or something like that. Right, so we're going to be able to use almost the same template as yesterday. All right, so the two equations, Mr. Roy is going to go through them. One equation has to do with value, what it's worth. And then another equation has to do with amount. How many coins do you have? Okay? And those will enable us to figure out the problem. What's up, Victor?
We didn't get the... You didn't get the notes? Sorry, guys. All right, so guys, our template going to be similar to yesterday. right? Looks kind of similar to yesterday, right? This is a little bit new down here, and line up if necessary. We're going to talk about that in a second. All right? So, just like we did yesterday for our notes, we're going to put in the steps. Logan, please be quiet. We're going to, are you okay over there? You're making noises. I want to make sure you're okay. Do you need to go to the nurse or something? Okay. All right. Just want to make sure you're okay. All right. So, just like yesterday, we're going to go through an example. We get the arrows on here so we can put our steps. All right? So, first step, just like yesterday, what are we going to put here? What are we going to put in the subject spot?
We would put Jane and...
Exactly. Victor? That's right. And I put that on my notes. The name does not matter. I don't care. We don't care about the name. I don't care about Jane. I don't care about Tom or Pete or whoever.
Oh,
right.
nickels and quarters?
Exactly. Right. So step one, write in the names all right. So the person's name. All right. Sometimes you might get a coin problem with someone's name in it. The name doesn't matter. You don't need to put the name in your subject spot. You're just going to put the name of the coin. Usually it's going to be 2 out of 3. It might be nickel. It might be dime. It might be quarter. We may give you one with a $50, but usually not. It's usually 2 out of those 3: nickel, dime, or quarter. All right. So like I said, the first thing you're going to do, write in the names of the coins. All right. The name in the sentence, like I said, doesn't matter. The name of the problem. In this case, Jane, I don't care about her. I just care about what she has for coins. All right? Step 2. These are going to be your single variables. What letters will we use? What are the 3 letters that we're probably going to use? N is one, yep. N, what's another one? Q, and last one? What is it? Probably won't have anything with penny. What's the other one I said? D. Either N, Q, or D, all right? And that depends on what kind of coin's in the problem, all right? Not always all right? Where it's the single variable, when it's talking about the amount of coins, all right? How many coins, not how much they're worth, but the amount that you have in your pocket, all right? That's not always going to be the first sentence in the problem. It's not always going to be the first sentence, right? The first sentence could be the amount of money that the coins are worth, right? We don't want to put that in the spot. Row 1 is always going to be the single variable. All right, so in this problem, what are my subjects going to be? What are the names of my coins in my problem? You can tell me by raising their hand. What's the name, Victor? All right, can we do them in order? I agree with quarters, but quarters are going to be quarters will be second. Nickels will be first. Good. We got nickels first. Good. All right. So we got nickels. We got quarters. Davin, how am I going to represent? What am I going to use for the single variable for those 2? N and Q. Nice. N, Q. All right? We're looking at this. Now, we're going to attach what that coin's worth to the decimal. Do you guys need me to write every single one? Like, do you need me to put like quarter, 0.25, dime, 0.10, nickel, 0.05? I can put it real quick if you want. N, Q, D. Nickel, 0.05. Q, 0.25. D.10. All right, so that's what each one's worth. Those are the three major ones that you guys are going to see in the problems that we do. All right. So in this row, it's like this row right here is what I'm going to turn it into. Oops. I'm going to turn it into money. All right. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that variable, right, and apply what that coin is worth with that variable. Like yesterday with the ages, we did like if it was in a certain amount of years, we added. If it was years ago, we subtracted. Same kind of thing happening here, but instead of adding or subtracting, we're just adding the amount of money that coin is worth. So, Kevin, what am I going to put for nickels in this second column? I want to attach what that coin is worth to the variable. What's a nickel worth? 0.05 N, perfect. Applying what it's worth to the variable. Chloe, do you think you can figure out what to put here for quarters? I want to apply what the quarter's worth in decimal form with the variable that's already there. Perfect. Nice job, Chloe. 0.25 Q. So that's all set. Now, the amount of money that Jane's collection of coins is worth. Is that the first sentence or the second sentence? The amount of money that it's actually worth. Is that the first sentence or the second sentence? It's the first, right? But I want to make sure that's going to go in my second row. All right? So my fourth step will be I'm going to set up my row 1 equation. Alright? So we're going to set up that row 1 equation for total number of coins. Alright? No money involved here. No 0.25Q, 0.10D. Alright? Whether it's the first or second sentence, it's always going to go here. Right? It's always going to go in. It's always going to go in that. It's always going to be my row 1 equation. Alright? Total number of coins is always going to be my row 1 equation. Alright? Give you guys a second to get that down. Like I said, whether it's the first or second sentence, it doesn't matter. It'll make sense to you when we go through it, but it has to be that row 1 equation every time. It is key, yes. All right, guys, good with this? Everybody good? All right, so let's do that right now. Let's set up our row 1 equation for total number of coins. In this problem, I highlighted it. All right? It gets a little tricky here. She has 7 more nickels than quarters. All right? What's the first coin that's mentioned? Nickels or quarters? Nickels. Whenever you have something that says, whenever it says 7 more than, 7 less than, the first coin that gets mentioned, right? The first coin written, or the first coin mentioned for a total number of coins, not the money, not how much they're worth, but the amount that you have in your pocket. All right? The first coin written, that's going to get the single variable. All right? So in this case, what's our single variable going to be before the equal sign? N, because nickels is mentioned first. All right? Nickels is mentioned first, that will get the N. Equals what? 7 more quarters. How would I write that? How would I express that?
Q plus 7.
Q plus 7, good. Just like we did yesterday, try to keep that letter first. Unless it's asking for the sum, right? Unless it's asking for the sum, and it's not asking for that. So Q plus 7. Mr. Hager and I, guys, we're not going to get into why we write it this way, because we tried that last year and it confused people even worse. So whatever, we have something like this, 7 more than, 5 less than. Whatever coin gets mentioned first gets the single variable before the equal sign, and then write what comes after it. All right? Now, I put this here, line up if necessary. What do you think I mean by that? What do you think Mr. Hager and I mean by that? Anybody have any idea? Yeah. Get the variable by itself. You may, on some of these, you might have the letters on the same side, and you have to move one to the other side of the equal sign and line it up. In this case, you don't have to, but there might be an example that we do later where you have to line it up. That's the only reason why this is here. All right, last step. I'm going to set up. Bless you. All right, our second, Vic, you all set? Our second, row 2 equation is always going to deal with the amount of money, what they're worth. All right? Whether it's the first sentence or the second sentence. All right? You got to keep that in mind, because in this case, the first sentence deals with the amount of money. All right? But we still want to put it as our row 2 equation. All right? So row 1 always deals, whether it's the first or second sentence, always deals with the number of coins that we have. 5 more quarters and dimes, a total of 11 coins, all right? Rosie?
Can you go back up?
I sure can. I'm going to go back up right now. That better?
Or I need like the middle part.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm going to go back down. Give me 1 second. Mistake is right. There you go.
Sorry, Logan.
Good?
Yes.
Make sure everybody gets everything. Guys, if I hear people talk, I'm just going to move on to the next part, whether you have it or not. Slowly. All right, so we're going to set up row 2 equation for the value of coins. All right? It says, now, does the first sentence or the second sentence deal with the amount of money for the coins? Which one deals with the amount of money? No. Second sentence deals with how many we have. 7 more nickels and quarters. That's the total number that you have. All right? The first sentence deals with the amount of money. All right? Jane has a collection of nickels and quarters worth $3.05. I see that word and. What does and translate to? What math operation? And. Addition, right? So I'm going to put my plus sign. What do you think is going to go on either side of that plus sign? Anybody have an idea by raising their hand? What's going to go on either side? Caitlin? Yeah? Exactly. 0.5 N, 0.25 Q. Now I'm going to go a little bit outside the thing here, but that's okay. Anybody think they might know what 0.5 N plus 0.25 Q is going to equal?
That's a plus, I thought that was
Yeah,
a.
it's a plus. Sorry. 3 what?
3
Say again.
0.30.
Not 0.30.
0.05.
3.05, or $3.05 equals $3.05. The total, what each coin is worth with the variable attached. Again, when I'm talking about nickels and quarters, all right, how much they're worth, I got to make sure that the variable has the amount of money that each coin's worth. Money always in the row 2 column. Amount of coins always in the row 1 column. No matter what sentence it is. All right, no matter what sentence it is. Now, just like yesterday, what do you think we're going to do now? Do we have a variable that's by itself? What variable do we have by itself? N, right? Just like we did yesterday. We're going to take what's in the parentheses and plug it in for this letter in the other equation. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to plug it in for N. So what's my new equation going to look like when I write it in? When I write it in, who can tell me what my new equation is going to look like? What's it going to start? What number is it going to start with? Logan?
The 0.05
0.05.
times
Yeah.
N plus, wait, no, Q plus 7.
Cool. Yep.
Then plus 0.25 Q
Yep.
equals 3.05.
3.05. All right? Just like we did yesterday. Take what's inside the parentheses, plug it in for this letter. If it makes sense to you guys, if you have to, cross that letter out so you know you don't need to put it there. You're taking this information and plugging it in for it. All right? So, we look at this. What do I have to do here? Distributed property, right? Boom, boom. What do I get? 0.05 Q, and then 0.05 times 7. The-
3.5?
What do we get? 3 point.
3.5, right?
Anybody get a calculator?
Times it?
B point.
Oh, no, wait. I got you.
B. I. There we go.
0.35. There you go.
Yeah, close.
It'll be so 0.05 times 7 equals, good. So 0.35 plus 0.25 Q equals 3.05. All right, let me extend this a little bit. What can I do now? What can I do now? Like terms. 0.05 Q, 0.25 Q. What do I get? Point what?
0.30.
0.30 Q. Bring everything else down. What am I going to do now? Good, minus 0.35. Minus 0.35 and what else? What's up, Logan? All set? Okay. 0.30 Q equals, what would that be? Let's say a quick math. 305 minus point. We have
2.7.
2.7 or 270, doesn't matter. Last step, divide by what? 0.30. Mr. Hager, my lovely assistant, you gonna help me out with that? Yeah. So how many quarters are we gonna have? 9. Q equals 9. Now, just like yesterday, I'll leave that up there so you guys can see. I'm just gonna go up this a touch. Mistakes, I'll put a little thing on the end for me so I know it's a Q. All right. How am I gonna, now, I want the number of nickels and quarters. How do I figure out the number of nickels? Plug it back in. To which equation? Row 1 equation or row 2? Row 1, right? Because nickels, the n's already by itself. If I plug in the Q, it'll give me n. No division involved. This addition. So I get n. I'm just going to write the whole equation out so you guys can see it. Q plus 7, n equals, what do we get for Q?
6.
What do we get for Q? 9 plus 7, n equals 16.
What's that number in between the, like in the first equation, that thing? What is that?
That's a Q. Yeah, I don't want to get the Q confused with the 9, that's all. All right, so make sure you go back up to your spot. How many nickels do we have? 16 nickels. How many quarters? 9. Make sure you write it in. All right? So that's like one type of coin problem that we'll do. Where it might be 7 more dimes and nickels, 5 less quarters than dimes. All right? You have to do some subtraction or addition. All right? We might give you some where it'll say the sum of the nickels and dimes is 11. So the total amount of coins that you have is 11. All right? What I want you guys to do for that next one, everybody have that stuff? If not, just let me know when I'm walking around. All I want you to do for I want you guys to do number 2 real quick. Let's set it up. We don't have to solve it. All I want you guys to do for number 2 is just, I want you to fill in the boxes. Don't worry so much about, if you can set up the equations, great. If not, at least write in your subjects, write in your row 1 variables, and your row 2 variables. Same, similar problem to what we just did. Remember, the person's name does not matter.
Yeah, we'll give you guys a minute and then we'll do that. Don't worry about solving it. I think we're going to do example 3. Because that one's similar to what you're going to see on the test. All right, guys, so what are my 2 subjects here? Okay, that part should at least be pretty quick. Nickels and quarters, good. Nickels, quarters. Okay, what variable do you want to use for nickels? N? And for quarters? Q. All right, now row 2 is always the equation for, what symbol did Mr. Roy put here? Money. Okay, so row 2 is where you're going to have a 0.05 with the N or a 0.25 with the Q.
So whenever you do money, you just put that money symbol?
You just put the money symbol. Okay? What decimal always goes with N? What goes in front of the N? What's the N worth? 0.05 N. What's the Q worth? 0.25 Q. Now, when we set up our equations, okay, equation 1 is going to use the letters above, the N and the Q. Equation 2 is going to use the letters above it, 0.05 N, 0.25 Q. All right? This equation is, the second column is for the money. Which sentence here has the money in it? The first or the second? if you read that word problem, which equation has the one about the value, how much the coins are worth? The first one, okay? I'm going to come back to that one. That's going to go in row 2. That's the one about the value of what they're worth. Okay? Row 1 is for the number of coins. Okay? All right, so now we got to set up the row 1 equation. Does anybody think they got row 1 equation?
Some people, walking around, Mr. Hager, some people already had it.
Is it,
And I know
I
Zach
got
got it.
n equals q plus 14.
Perfect.
All right, yeah.
Oh, I put n equals q14. I didn't
So
put plus.
the trick Mr. Roy gave you, if whatever coin comes first, put that letter by itself, okay? And then, Logan, why did you put Q, oh, I'm sorry, we're looking at the wrong sentence. Why did you put Q plus 14?
Because q came second and nickels came first, so nickels equals,
Why plus?
because it says more.
Yeah, it says more,
14 more.
okay? The nickels is 14 more than quarters. In fact, that's another way you could think of that sentence. Nickels is 14 more than quarters. Nickels is, okay? Okay, so that's equation 1. Now, equation 2 is for the amount of money. What operation did Mr. Roy say and was?
Equals. Oh, wait,
Nope, that's
addition,
is.
addition.
Addition. Okay? What are the two things that we need to add? Yeah. To figure out the things you have to add, just look above. 0.05n plus 0.25q, 3.7. Now for this problem, that's where we're going to stop. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, example 3, we'll set up together and we'll try to solve it. Okay, what are my two subjects in this sentence?
Quarters and nickels.
Yep, quarters and nickels. I'm just going to write them the order that I see them. Quarters, nickels. What's the variable for quarters? Q. Nickels? N. Okay, row 2, that always represents the value. So what number do you always put as the decimal for Q? Yep. 0.25.
Amount of money with the variable.
How about N? 0.05.
Which should you put the money symbol?
You don't have to. It's up to you.
Yeah.
That's just to remind you that this column is about the value of the coins.
Okay, let's put it this way. If you don't have the money symbol there on Friday, I'm not going to take any points off.
All right.
All right?
All right. First equation doesn't have anything to do with the value. It has to do with the amount. Which sentence here tells me how many coins I have? First sentence or second? Second. There are 13 coins in all. What are the two types of coins we have?
Nickels and quarters.
And if you wanted to know how many you have in all, what would you do with the amount of nickels and the amount of quarters? Add them. Okay? So what I'm going to do for now, just put it up here because we're going to have to rearrange it. So yeah, and if I take how many nickels I have, plus how many quarters, how many coins do I have? 13. Now, notice this time our variables are both on the same side. We've got to move one of them. It does not matter which one. So can somebody tell me what to do to get a letter by itself? Subtract. Sure, subtract Q from each side. Perfect. Now I'm going to write that answer down here. What letter did we just get by itself? N. N equals, what's going to be on the other side? What do I have right there? 13 minus what, Corey? Good. Okay, that's the only thing that was different. Now the rest of this problem is just like the one that you guys did with Mr. Roy. Okay, it says we have a collection of quarters and nickels. What does and mean? addition. Okay. What are the two things I'm adding up?
Q and N.
Not quite, no. Q and N is column 1. Column 1 stuff never crosses into column 2. 0.25.
Oh, well, that's what I meant.
All right. So 0.25 Q plus
Plus 0.05.
0.05 N. And what does that add up to? 1.25. Okay. Now from here, the hardest part is just dealing with the decimals. Okay. What letter am I going to fill in for in the second equation? Oh, Ryan?
You fill in N,
Good. And what am I going to fill in for N?
13 minus Q.
Perfect. Okay. And when I fill it in, what symbols do I want to make sure I always put? Good. Make sure you put your parentheses. So 0.25 Q plus, Caitlin just said make sure we put our parentheses. Okay. Ryan told me for N, I'm going to fill in 13 minus Q. Okay. And what still goes on the other side by itself?
1.2.
Good. And when I'm done this problem, I should know how many quarters I have. All right. What do we do with this 0.05? Yep. And again, with decimals, you're just going to use your calculator and see what you got. Okay, so 0.05 times 13, 0.65. This part, I don't think we need a calculator. What's 0.05 times Q?
Negative 0.05.
Yep, I got the negative there, so yeah, 0.05 Q. And that still equals 1.25. Okay, any like terms? Yep, the Q's. Actually, I'm not going to put that, but yep, combine your Q's. Anyone tell me what 0.25 take away 0.05 is? Yeah, 0.20. It's like 25 cents take away 5 cents. 0.20 plus 0.65. Okay, so at each step it looks like our equation is getting smaller. That's a good thing. Okay, who can tell me my next step? Yeah, so what do you subtract? Good, yeah, you guys seem to be getting it. Subtract the 0.65. Okay, 0.2Q stays right where it is. I'm just going to use my calculator. $1.25 minus 65 is 0.6. And what's my last step to get Q by itself? 5? Good. Divide by 0.20. Nice job. 0.6 divided by 0.20 gives me 3. So what does that mean? 3 is what?
What coin?
Q quarters. Okay, so I have a spot, and it's going to be just like this on the test. You're going to have to go back up and write down your quarters on a line. Okay, what's the last thing we need to find? Nickels. Do I have a formula, or do I have an equation that'll tell me the nickels? Yeah, the formula is right here. Nickels is 13 minus Q. What did we just find for Q? 3. So how many nickels do I have? 10. Nickels is 10. All right, so any questions on that? It is a lot of work, okay? But luckily, we're going to give you this template, and hopefully that's going to kind of guide you as you do it. I think we've got one more. We might have you guys just set up. But just to start the video, I'm going to put up just to show you what the homework is, and then I'm going to have you guys do example 4. Probably not solve it. All right, so your homework will be a worksheet. Okay, on the worksheet, we put a review problem from yesterday just to keep that fresh. Mixture problems tomorrow, review day Thursday, And as we said, test is only 6 questions, but each question has 4 parts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so 2 age, like we did yesterday, 2 coin, like we did today, and then tomorrow we'll do like some mixture problems, like maybe number of tickets, amount of something in a mixture, right? There'll be 2 of those on Friday.